What's up, everybody? Good morning from a beautiful North Dakota day here, August. We don't even care. This was all a hole yesterday. Huge hole. Dave's Dodge is gonna get a little dusty. Gotta put the big time in the truck. We're gonna go keep setting up some spots here. And still we got to have enough time to meet the cafe 2 p.m. cutoff closing time. We got to be there. We have to experience that. I just want a burger, a Mountain Dew, and a little dab of ice cream. Been waiting for that for about 9 months, and it's gonna get hot here, so yeah, we're gonna go set these spots up. And what we're doing pretty much is we're scouting out areas. We're going to areas that we've hit in the past, but any new spots, we go on ONX Maps and we just pick areas. You can see where there's a lot of cover, where crops kind of funnel deer into a certain spot. But the main thing is finding big slough systems and tree systems, or tree rows if we can, on ONX Maps, because with the lack of big cover out here, we found that deer like to gravitate towards those areas. And then when you're driving around, obviously we mark areas that we see standing corn. That's a great source of cover for these deer, especially in the summer months. And then we just drive around and we see if these areas are, if they're posted, if we can get permission. We look on our ONX Maps and we usually know, we're getting familiar with what landowners, like to post their properties, what ones don't. So we use it to go around and mark these areas. And then when we're putting down big tine and corn, a lot of what we're doing is just using it as an inventory check. We found that it's actually not completely, you don't have the best advantage hunting over corn here in North Dakota. So we use it as our checkpoints, and then if we can figure out where the deer are bedding, usually it's a long way away. These deer move, they'll move miles just overnight. So you're not just gonna sit there over a pile of corn and shoot deer. We have to figure out what they're doing, where they're coming from, and then we usually hunt them coming to or from food source. Get on the beans where these deer are pounding right now, or we found that with little alfalfa out here, if you could find alfalfa, the deer gravitate towards that as well. So we're just gonna keep setting up our inventory spots, and then watch these deer over the next the next week, 2 weeks, 10 days, and really see what they're doing and which deer are where, so that we could start targeting in on our deer. You see this right here? Want to find right there: water, cover, trees, crop. Using ONX Maps, this is what we do when we mark our spots. Hopefully, we try to keep them in a close proximity, at least within 10 to 15 miles, just so we can be efficient, because you got to go drive to them to see if they're posted or not, to see if you can even hunt them. But right now we know we can hunt this particular spot, but it's water and the trees almost pinch all together, so it's a perfect spot to put camera up and see what deer are working down there. Especially, we know that this lower corner now, it's always beans, it's actually corn this year, so it actually sets up better than it ever has before. Corn, cover, trees, water, and then these are all beans. The deer cruise up and down those tree lines. We got our first spot set up of day 2. We got a covert cell camera, ancient covert cell camera, on this tree right here, big tine down, and trying to catch these deer working this tree row. But there's corn planted in this corner over here that has never been planted there before. That's always usually beans, just like this is. But that tree row right there, it gets real thick at the bottom, super gnarly thick. There's always a ton of rubs
at the bottom of it. So we're thinking the combination of the corn and the fact that they may bed down here regardless is going to be a perfect little ambush spot, because they can stay low down in this little crevice down here and work their way up and down these tree rows. That's typically what they do in the evening or at night. So it's, I mean, I think it sets up perfect. And then there's a little island right over the hill right here. There's a ton of water, which is good too, because especially with it being so dry and hot right now, ton of water right here, which is perfect. And then that island, it's not planted this year. They'll typically bed on that as well. And there's a couple sloughs down west of us that they'll bed. So I was saying, even in the car, like some of these spots, I know we have the mindset of we're going to be hunting there, but we don't necessarily need to have that mindset. It's just an inventory spot, like see if the deer are moving up on this side of the property. If they're not, they're not. But what's nice about having a spot here and all the way back there and even across the road is that you can see what their movement patterns are. You can see if they're here, there 4 hours later. You can kind of get a beat on where they're bedding based off of that. So it's a big information thing. Very, very strategic move. Very strategic.
Hot off the press.
Oh man.
Oh, look at your little ladies you have here. It's so cute. Are you taking a picture right now?
Yeah, Dean.
Okay. Eat up, Dean.
My little kind of pickles. Taking pins of pain. Same thing. Double it up. Can't miss chicken and dumplings. Not here. Not here. See, now we got to observe. Thank you. Good seeing you guys. Oh, chicken and dumplings on the resi.
It's locked in.
It's locked in. Can't miss it now.
Nice 94-degree day to have some chicken and dumplings.
Oh yeah. Man, is it hot. Holy smokes. This spot is where Kane and I shot bin Laden last year from up on that mound. This light green in here was all corn, and they felt comfortable bedding in the corn, and they were coming out into this alfalfa. Well, now this was all barley, and we have beans over here. There's corn very far over there, corn on the neighbor's property right there. So what we're gonna do, we feel like we have no choice. This is kind of a little saddle, low point saddle. You can see the contour of the field line goes up on this side and up on this side, and the deer bed in there a lot, and they're going to be bedding in that far corn on that side, and they typically funnel down into this lower area. And we've observed them out in this alfalfa for most of the night, so their destination is this alfalfa field. We're just trying to set up a spot where we feel like we can catch the most activity of deer to figure out if there's a good buck in here to even hunt or not. And then we're gonna have to figure it out. As you can see, with
this one's gonna be a challenge.
Not much to work with. They ground up those mounds, so it's like real soft dirt. They ground it up into basically mulch, so you really can't sit on there anymore, and there's no weeds to protect you like there were last year. But this is just gonna be kind of a wing it thing. See if we can
yeah, I mean, like David said, the point of the food and the camera is to see what's there. It's a scouting tactic at this point. Once we figure out what deer are here, we'll figure out where to hunt and how to hunt them, which that'll be a challenging part. But right now the important part is figuring out
who's here,
what deer, yeah, who's here.
This tree is huge.
Tell you what, it sure feels good to be in a decent sized woods like this in the shadows. It's a rarity for North Dakota, but almost feel like we would want a spot in here somewhere. Just like how secluded it is. There's a buddy tree stand about 80 to 100 yards from me. So it's definitely gets some hunting pressure in here, but we've We've hunted in spots with pressure, so I don't think that's a huge issue.
This is where Dean killed East Coast last year. Actually, sitting right in that tree right there. Deer came out and shot him right there. And we ended up, this was all beans last year. We ended up finding them right out in the middle of all the beans. Kind of crazy how everything changes when the crops rotate, and there's a lot of areas here now this year that don't have a lot of crops, which is even a whole different adjustment. So we're just gonna, I think we're gonna try and put another spot up here in a similar spot just to see. There's beans over that hill and there's beans over that hill, but this is just seems like a central point of emphasis, this little shelter belt. This is night one of finally getting to the point where we really can do what we want to do, and that is just go in, sit somewhere, and watch for deer. We've been busting our cans the last 24 hours. We've gotten 7 spots set up. Feel pretty good about them, but I want to see some deer in their natural habitat. So tonight we're gonna go pick a couple high spots, a couple of our favorite spots, get the glasses in our hand, and just chill for the last hour.
One of my favorite spots to glass is right here. Big patch of brush and woods that usually the deer are centralized in, so we have a little bit of a good vantage up here. You can usually guarantee that if a deer come out of there, we're going to be able to see them. So actually spotted the buck David shot last year on, I think, the first or second night that we were out here on this trip, and we didn't get him on camera for about 2 weeks, but because we scouted and looked over it overnight, we knew he was in there. So that's the mission for tonight. That's where I'm going. We're splitting up, lickety split, slingshot, covering some ground, and should be a good night. I just wanna call my friends and see what they're doing tonight. It doesn't have to be so special. I try to be myself.
That pile right there is where I'm trying to get to.
Above the center of attention, but I'm not. I wish I didn't have to give into the pressure. Oh, 'cause I just wanna call my friends and see what they're doing tonight. It doesn't have to be so special. I try to be myself, do the same and we'll be alright.
Alright, it was a nice night, first night out scouting. It's been hot. I mean, the 3 days we're here, it's low 90s every single day, so not expecting to see a ton of deer. At night we had to just come out here to get our inventory, our spots set up, prepare ourselves for 2 weeks. It has been tough, pouring sweat, because it is so hot during the middle of the day. But nice night to get out. Not sure what David saw, if he see anything.
if you saw anything, but I got to enjoy a nice North Dakota sky and saw some deer way off in the distance. It's a good night.